Hey guys, Woods Farm here at Project 222. Just back out in the shop. We're continuing to work on the gun mount in this video, so let's get started. Okay guys, in the last video we got pretty far on the gun mount mechanism. Today we're going to pick up where we left off. We're going to start working on the actual mechanism for the elevation. In the last video I got the traverse pretty much sorted out and where we want it to be. So the next step is to actually work on the mount and the pivot point and the gear that allows the gun to be elevated up and down. Okay, just to show you, here is the sprocket that I talked about changing out in the last video, and this is the smaller sprocket. This is a 10 tooth, and it effectively changed our gear ratio from a 3-to-1 to a 4-to-1. Still not close to the original, unfortunately, but it's going to give us a little more leverage, and it's a little bit finer of a movement. The other one, you turn the wheel 3 times to make a complete revolution. This one's now a little bit more than 4. So I got this bracketry that the gun mounts in, and I had an idea to use a couple of bolt-on bearing housings, but I've since changed the idea that I have, so I'm going to have to actually cut this down a little bit and change this. I'm going to go to a little bit of a different setup, something that's more similar to the original. Also have to drill some holes. This is just sitting in here, so this is going to bolt down. So we're going to have to drill holes and mount it. So instead of using a 3/4 inch bearing and housing, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually use these bronze bushings on a 1-inch shaft, and I'm going to make kind of a C-clamp system so that the whole thing will it's going to pivot on this bar. That's the 1-inch bar, and the whole thing will lower into the cradle and it will be clamped in place. And that is more similar to the original setup. So I think it'll look a lot better, and it'll probably function a little bit better too. So I hole sawed this 2-inch hole through this stock, and then I'm going to cut it in half, and I'm going to have 2 pieces. And then these housings are going to fit and weld into that. And the plan is to cut these in half and use these as sort of the clamp that the bushing and the 1-inch pivot are going to sit in. So after these get cut in half, the lower half will get welded, and then this part is going to get mounted into the cradle. So part of getting that elevation to work is getting this gear plate mounted to the bottom of the mount for the gun and having it interface with the hand wheel so it'll actually pivot the mount. Just a basic line of where I think I'm going to cut this plate. My son pointed out that we need to pay attention to this center, because if the plate isn't mounted in the right position, it will bind up. It has to be a perfect arc. So luckily we do have this center point here as a reference. Okay guys, I've got most of the gun mount completed. There is the pivot point for the elevation. This works off of a couple of brass bushings and this sort of C-clamp design. Similar to the original. At the back, there's this brace, and this is part of the structure that actually ends up being connected to the turret. The traverse is working. So the next step is to actually start working on the platform that the 20mm will attach to, and also the gear mechanism for the elevation. guys, I'm going to wrap this video up here. I've got most of the gun carriage turret mechanism completed. That top plate warped a little bit, but I'm pretty sure I can fix that and straighten it out when I start working on the mount on the one side for the MG34. That said, I think the next thing we're going to work on is we're going to get the Scout car back in the garage, do some seam welding on the turret, pull the turret off. We're going to install the roller bearings, and then we can have the turret back in the vehicle and have it move freely. And then we can start working on the height of the pedestal and the mount, and we can get all of these components put into the vehicle and working together so that the turret spins and moves like it's supposed to. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. And as always, thanks for watching.